What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Gotta Get Back, the Samurai Jack and Review Show. Welcome back to Project Potter, guys. My name is Kyle, your host. Welcome to episode 20 as we go through season 2 here, guys. If you haven't seen the show before, welcome. It is a quick recap, a favorite scene, a favorite character, a score out of 10, and then some Samurai Jack trivia or Easter eggs if we have any for the episode. So yeah, guys, we're going to jump right into it here. Episode 20 begins as we've seen Samurai Jack before. Where he is fighting the Aku beetles, destroying the Aku beetles. There's a thunderstorm, there's lightning going on, there's rain coming down. He's wrecking shop. There's a portal to the past. Again, why are there so many portals to the past in this show? I don't understand. But, it's right there. And every time Jack is running towards the portal, another beetle comes down. And then one of the beetles actually decides to attack the portal and blows it up. Samurai Jack is knocked back. He's like left looking up into the rain. The rain stops, but he is like, it is impossible. And Jack like straight up gives up. And then he actually slams his sword in frustration. He yells and slams his sword into the ground. So Jack is clearly frustrated. There's an awesome like shot where he kind of throws his sword aside and there's a silhouette. So he's walking away to the next location, and the wind picks up and his hat flies away, and this pisses him off, dude. He's like, I'm already on edge, and like a simple thing of just like the wind taking his hat, he gets pissed, and then he starts running after it. And there's a great little scene where he's like running, and then the hat is floating there, and it's like moving around, and then it like flies away and comes back, and then ends up hitting him in the face, and then it comes back. But he follows this hat all the way basically to a hand that's outstretched, which we find are the three monks of the mountain. And they're really, really awesome design. I don't know if you guys can see, probably some of them back here. Yeah, these three monks are awesome. They look really cool. They look like guardians. And he's like, excuse me, this is my hat. And they're like, yes. And then Jack like feels kind of bad that he's been in this rage because he's like, oh, these guys are cool. So he takes the hat, and then they turn around and they start walking away. And now Jack is curious. He's like, excuse me, do you mind if I ask where you're going? And they're like, they just point to like the top of the mountain. And it's like this really huge mountain clouded in fog. And he's like, it seems very difficult. And they're like, yes. And he's like, okay. So he's like, do you mind if I ask what's at the top of that mountain? And they're like, truth. And he's like, truth. And he's like, yes, we've trained our whole lives to climb this mountain. And he's like, legend has it that there is truth at the top of that mountain, if it even exists. And so Jack is like, but they're like, no one has ever climbed to the top of that mountain. And Jack smiles and he's like, not yet. And I'm like, all right, slow your roll, Jack. But Jack goes along with the monks there, and that's now his mission. They start climbing up some easy rocks at the bottom of the base there. The monks are actually collecting rocks in like a little thing. I don't know why they're doing that, but there's a goat that comes out, and he's like, do not worry, I will take care of this. And then he's like, goat man, please let us pass. And the goat man kind of like retracts, and he's like, okay, it is now safe to come over. And then like 10 of them come out, and Jack is like, oh shit. So he jumps around, and he actually slices off. He takes care of them pretty easily. He slices off their horns with his sword, so they all retract there. They start climbing up. The monks are climbing behind him. It's nightfall there, and then Jack is still climbing. And he literally is climbing up like the side of the mountain, and then like there's huge rock monster like comes out of the side of the mountain. So he's like made out of the mountain. It's really cool. And he like picks up Jack and just throws him down. And so Jack is falling, and then he like has to throw his sword into the side of the mountain to stop himself from falling. And so he like flings himself up past. There's like an owl halfway between, so it's a funny little scene. Jack like uses the leverage, the momentum of the sword to send him back up there. And he attacks the monster, but the monster brings him down. So now they're both falling. There's a brief sequence where the monster like slams and drags Jack's face like down the mountain. And I was just like, oh, dude, like that's painful. And so they have back and forth where he's like punching him, and the monster punches him, and they go past the sword, and Jack tries to reach for the sword, but he can't get it. So eventually, like he's falling, and his robe and stuff is coming off. So he actually ties it up like a lasso, and he throws it to like a branch. So Jack saves himself. The monster keeps falling, so that monster is just like he's done for, I guess. So Jack climbs and climbs, and he gets his sword eventually. He's got some relief there, but he gets closer to the top of the mountain. It's getting really cold. Everything's icing over, and Jack is getting cold. He's obviously not suited for winter. And he keeps going, and he climbs, and he's freezing, and the monks are just waiting for him, like kind of towards the top. And he is like going in their footsteps, but the monks are like remaining calm, and they're eating. And Jack is freezing, and he's sitting there, and he's shivering. It looks like he's going to freeze to death. And again, they said they've been training their whole lives for this mountain, and Jack is just like, oh, I can just do it first try. So Jack is finding out that this is a lot more difficult than he thought it would be. And so he's trying to catch up to the monks here. It's like a full-on blizzard now. He's running, and he runs into this giant creature of the mountain. Like it's like a huge, like kind of werewolf yeti type of monster, and Jack is like exhausted, and he's freezing, and the monster's coming at him, and he tries to fight it, but he's just got no strength left. He manages to escape for like a minute, but then the Yeti's got him cornered, and eventually what it ends up doing is like beating him and holding him down. Jack is so frustrated that he actually screams in frustration, and like these huge icicle pieces like come down and crushes the Yeti. So there's some fortunate environment there. Jack survives, but he is like absolutely just exhausted. So he's freezing cold now. He keeps going, but his clothes are all ripped, and he's still got a long way to go. He begins to climb like these little steps, these like icy steps that are up there. He's got to like traverse them like Nathan Drake. And he starts going, and he just falls off, and he like lands on this pit, and he just says again, it is impossible. And this is the second time in the episode where he said something is impossible, and we've never heard Jack say that before. He's always like, I can do it, I will do it no matter what. And he's just like, I can't do it anymore, I give up. Like he's like, the portal's one thing, and then he got some remotivation for the mountain, and then he's trying to do the mountain, and he can't do it. And Jack is just like, I'm just going to take the easy way out. And this isn't the Jack we know. So Jack's kind of lost his way here. He's sitting there, and he's laying, and he's like pretty much ready to die. And the monks are like in his head now. And they're like, oh, so you give up? They're like, do you not remember? And then there's like flashes back to like all the humans raising the Aku statue and struggling there. And then like the past where last episode where we saw Jack remember the past, like the monks show him this in his mind again as well. Jack hugging his family, and then Aku taking his parents, and then throwing him into the future, and like Aku laughing, and he's like, no, he's like, of course I do not forget. And he gets like remotivated. Then he starts climbing the side of the mountain with new like renowned strength. He finally gets to the top, and it looks like it's like this huge, it looks like Mount Olympus pretty much. And it's like a metaphorical thing where it's like the top, and then it just looks like a mountain to like heaven or something. And he's like blowing in the wind, and his hair's going, and he's like, Aku, he's like, I will never stop and rest until I take you down and defeat you. He's like, I will restore order, and I will get back to the past. And it's like, there we go, dude. Like he just needed like a test, and then someone else to tell him like, Jack, you can't forget, like, look how far you've come. And so he gets to the top, and he finds like re-motivation, and he finds the truth, and knowing that he can't just like forget and give up and give up everything he's been fighting for. Like he needs to move forward, and he needs to take down Aku. So this like gets Jack going again, and he's like, no matter the odds, he's like, I'm gonna get it done. So that is how the episode ends, with him blowing in the wind, looking like a badass at the top of the mountain. For Magic Sword, guys, it's the three monks. I mean, Jack, he was really determined to get to the top there, but he lost his will twice in this episode. He said it was impossible twice, and we never see that from Jack. And he let his rage get the best of him, and he, it wasn't the Jack that we know, the Jack that's so honorable in fighting. And so he just needed a little push, and that's what the monks were there to do. They were there to remind him, like, hey, man, you are the hope, and you are the one who's going to take down Aku. And it's like, you need to, even when things look tough, you just need to keep going, because it's going to get better, and you're going to find a way, and it's going to work out. So it's like, they don't say too many things, but their presence kind of, Jack can feel the presence, I think. And right when he's ready to give up, they come in and they go, hey, it's not your time to give up. It's time to keep moving forward. And they're the ultimate motivation for Jack, and I think he really looks up to them. And whether they were real or just a figment of his imagination, I'm not sure, but that's kind of up to the viewer, I think, to interpret that. And I love what Genndy did there. It's a great job. So they got to get my magic sword for this week. For A Portal in Time, guys, it's actually the final shot that I like the most. So when Jack is standing there, his clothes are ripped, his hair is flowing, the wind's flowing, and he's standing there and he's like, Aku. He's like, I will find you. It's like, this is the Jack we wanted. You know, he just needed to find himself again. That shot looked awesome, the wind blowing and just everything that he had to go through to get there. The final shot is my Portal in Time for this week, for sure. First score, guys. This one is an 8-2 for me. It's a good episode. I feel like I'm scoring season 2 pretty high, so I'm trying not to do that. But it's a good. I feel like I like the monks more than I liked the rest of the episode. But I like the moral of the story here, where I like the idea that Jack had given up not once but twice in this episode, and an outside source pushed him and reminded him, like, this is what you're fighting for. And we all get that. We all get complacent, and sometimes you just need a kick in the butt, and sometimes you need a reminder of what you're doing, what you're fighting for. You know, I do that with the channel too, guys. I mean, I'm making content, and sometimes I'm like, you know, is this really worth it, or is this really what I want to do? But you know, I have a blast doing it, and sometimes I have to remember, like, I'll look back and be like, oh, I've made this, and this, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I'm glad that I persevered and did it, because sometimes it feels a little grindy. To be honest, if I'm not like totally 100% in on something, or if we get a down episode or something, or just something doesn't go the way I had hoped it goes, I kind of get like Jack, where I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And then it's like, you get some great episodes, and then you do, like, some things come out better, or, you know, someone says like, hey man, I really like that content or something like that. And so this is just like a metaphor for life, where it's like, you know, even when you think you don't have the best day, or even when you have a rough day, it's like, keep going, man. You got to keep pushing forward, because, you know, it's all going to work out in the end, and you got to fight for something. So, yeah, strong episode. Not my favorite episode, but certainly one that I think really hit on an emotional level, which season 2 has been doing a little bit more. So hats off to Genndy and the team for doing that. Okay, guys, so for Jack Facts this week, we have 2 again. It seems like that's the theme lately. So the first one here, when Jack is shouting out Aku's name at the top of the snowy mountain, this is very similar to the scene in Rocky, where the main protagonist, Rocky, runs up to the top of a snowy mountain and shouts his enemy's name. So that's interesting. Rocky, love the Rocky movies there, so keep an eye out for those. Might be reviewing those. And then the other one here, Jack hallucinating the monks, asking him if he has forgotten, and remembering his homeland is similar to Jack's hallucinations in the future, in which his father demands why Jack has forgotten his purpose. So I think that's an episode, season 5. So that might be another spoiler, but yeah. So Jack is hallucinating that scene, apparently. Are the monks a hallucination altogether? Maybe. But I think that might be the idea, but we'll never know. They could have been real. They could have been hallucination. Either way, Jack got the kick in the butt he needed, and now he's in the right place. So he continues his journey on, and that's it for Jack Facts for this week. Okay, guys, that's another episode of Gotta Get Back. We are 20 episodes deep now. So thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Thanks for checking out the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell notification. And until next time, guys, gotta get back.